Imagine stepping into the shoes of a coin collector, carefully inspecting a humble penny, one that may seem ordinary at first glance. But what if I told you that a seemingly simple 1988 penny with just a few tiny imperfections could be worth a fortune today? That's right, a coin valued at just 5 cents when it was minted is now worth over $190,000. You may wonder what makes this specific penny so special and how did it earn such an incredible value? To answer that, we have to take a deep dive into the history, the design, the mintage, and the fascinating world of coin collecting. Let's rewind the clock and start by exploring the history surrounding the 1988 penny, an unassuming yet incredible piece of American history. The United States Mint, established in 1792, has been producing coins for over 2 centuries. By 1988, the Mint had perfected the process of coin manufacturing, but that doesn't mean every penny produced was guaranteed to be perfect. As with most collectible coins, it's the flaws and rare errors that tend to make these pieces worth so much more. The story of the 1988 penny is no different. In the late 1980s, the U.S. economy was in a state of change. The decade had seen significant shifts in both politics and technology. Coin production was ramping up and the U.S. Mint was producing billions of pennies to meet demand. Most of these pennies, however, were produced with no particular fanfare. Yet, little did anyone know one tiny batch of pennies would eventually stand out, earning an iconic status in the coin collecting world. Now, let's take a closer look at the design of the 1988 penny. The coin itself features the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side, a design that had been in circulation since 1959. The Lincoln Memorial, standing proudly on the reverse, is the hallmark of the penny, a symbol of America's legacy. It's said to be one of the most recognizable national landmarks, and its presence on the coin solidified its status as a permanent emblem of the nation's history. The obverse features Abraham Lincoln's portrait, a design crafted by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln's image has graced the penny since 1909, when the Mint sought to honor the legacy of the nation's 16th president on the 100th anniversary of his birth. At first glance, the 1988 penny appears like any other penny from the same era. The year 1988 is stamped on the coin, and the mint mark D, indicating it was minted in Denver, is located near the base of Lincoln's bust. The edge of the coin is smooth, and the metal, a mix of copper and zinc, shines brightly as a typical example of coins in that period. It seems like just another everyday penny, right? But as with all rare collectibles, the devil is in the details. And what makes the 1988 penny stand out from its peers is the particular flaw that occurred during the minting process. This flaw, known to collectors as the "in God we trust" error, is what makes this penny an absolute gem for numismatists. To understand the rarity of this error, we need to know a little more about the minting process. Each coin produced by the U.S. Mint goes through an intricate and highly controlled process. First, blank metal discs are stamped with the design using a series of presses. These presses are finely tuned to ensure that every detail of the design, including the inscriptions, appears crisp and clear. However, sometimes things don't go as planned. In the case of the 1988 penny, there was an issue with the dies used for the minting process. Some of the dies were worn or damaged, which led to an error where part of the inscription, "In God We Trust," didn't fully imprint on the coin. This caused the phrase to appear incomplete, with parts of the lettering faint or entirely absent in some cases. This error made these specific pennies incredibly rare, as most pennies produced in 1988 didn't have this flaw. Over time, as collectors became more attuned to the nuances of coin collecting, they began to notice the difference between the regular 1988 penny and the one with the "In God We Trust" error. When they realized that only a small number of these misprinted coins existed, the value of these pennies skyrocketed. But the story doesn't end there. While this minting flaw was rare, it didn't immediately catapult the 1988 penny to its legendary status. Coin collectors took time to identify and track these error coins, and as they became more widely known, the demand for them grew exponentially. In fact, many collectors began hoarding 1988 pennies, carefully scrutinizing each one to find that elusive "In God We Trust" error. The true breakthrough for this coin's value came when experts began grading the condition of these rare error pennies. Coin grading is an essential part of the numismatic world, and it significantly impacts the coin's worth. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being the highest possible grade, which indicates a perfect coin with no flaws. The better the grade, the higher the value. Over the years, a handful of these 1988D pennies with the "In God We Trust" error have been graded as high as MS67, mint state 67, which is an incredibly rare and impressive grade for a coin. In fact, it is believed that fewer than a dozen 1988D pennies with this error exist in pristine condition. This scarcity, combined with the uniqueness of the error, made these pennies highly sought after by serious collectors. The demand grew to the point where, in 2019, one of these perfectly graded 1988D "In God We Trust" error pennies was auctioned for